Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Steve Robinson from the Homeless Outreach Team, otherwise known as HOT. You were saying that I think it was the figure 1,000 homeless people
are sheltered.
Yeah. In this area. And yet there are others who are not. Do we have an idea of how many homeless people are in our area?
In September, the number was around 65 people that wanted to shelter, that weren't sheltered. And there are some people that aren't even trying to shelter at that point. Now, when the cold comes, they're definitely trying to shelter. Like
you're saying, there are people not trying to shelter, and you mentioned that if it's because that they're having to follow some rules that they don't want to follow yet.
And there's this I give up kind of mindset.
Really?
And I want to tell you about a group of people, and I hope I don't cry because it's so sad.
It's okay, we got Kleenex here. We're prepared for crying.
That's good. I knew
Yes.
you would be. Susie, there are men and women who they get in line with 100 people to get a job at McDonald's, or not this high-end job that's really high-skilled, but I was an employer, and every time I'm picking from the top 10,
right.
not the bottom 10,
right.
And every time they get left out, and they go time and time again, and every once in a while they get a job, and they're just not as good as the next person, and they get left go, or they don't have the discipline they need, or they have a personality dysfunction, and they get fired, and they just give up about getting a job. And it's also that same person then is the person that's homeless, but sometimes they call the homeless hotline, especially in the summer when the shelters are full and there's no overflow, and they've been told, no, there's no space, you're on the waiting list, and they call again and it's full, you're on the waiting list, and they give up. They stop calling the homeless hotline. But right now, the homeless hotline is trying to get everyone in because of the cold, and they're trying to take emergency measures to help everyone. And it's important to encourage people who have given up not to give up. The system works for them.
I'm hearing the news, and it's supposed to be such good news that we are in our community, under 5% unemployment. But what I'm hearing you say is that's because there are so many people who are unemployed. I mean, if we're still if there are more than 1,000 people trying to find places to live and be sheltered, and they have no jobs, that's not good enough, is it? Our unemployment is way more than we think it is, or
there's
a
lot of people that are not in the books because they've given up, and they're not a written statistic anymore. But we know of these people.
So we just don't count
and surely
them
you know
as
people.
Humans?
But we have to count them as humans.
Exactly.
And Jesus calls to us
exactly.
to reach out and help. And I have another part of my program that I'm doing, and there are people listening right now, Susie, and they have ideas. And sometimes it's just good to sit down and just talk about ideas for the solutions of problems. And you hear that I need a building. Every empty building you see, figure out, please don't call us and say I saw an empty building, but figure out, could that be given to help the homeless people?
Does it need to be in a certain area? Are you looking for shelter that would be convenient to a certain population, or can it be anywhere?
In my heart, I don't care. I'd rather be where we're not near the ghetto, but the city's not going to zone you. You know, they're not going to put us in hills and dales. So it's important that it's a building that actually could be used, that the city would agree to let people stay there. But
do you work with SARTA at all? Is there a way for people to get from one place to another if they don't have vehicles?
You know, SARTA has a generous opportunity for anybody who's not got a bus pass, if they have ID, which basically means there's a lot of people that don't have ID that are homeless. But if they have ID, they can take a test, and they can get a free bus pass for 1 month, and then they can go to the unemployment, and they can get 2 more bus passes. But there is a huge need for bus passes. If you just bought 1 month or 1 day bus passes and mailed them to us.
And donated them.
It's a huge problem, even to just get people to the shelter from wherever they are. So,
I don't think it's because we don't want to help out in that way. It's just that thing that you just brought up would never have crossed my mind. And I think it's the idea of getting it to, and I'll confess, I would not have thought of that. we need it to be on top of our minds. So I thank you so much for raising the awareness that one way we can help is to donate bus passes to you.
It is. One of the blessings of doing this job with the homeless outreach team and getting to be a hot old guy is that I connect up people with the need.
Yeah.
So Pastor Bartow from the TLC calls it being a bridge of compassion. Tell people that have, connecting with people that have not. And that's just one more way. They need gloves, they need socks, they need hats. Most of them by now already have figured out how to get a winter coat. We need sleeping bags and tents. We don't have enough of that. And when we find somebody who can't get in a shelter because of problems, and sometimes it's because they just didn't behave themselves in a shelter, we want to at least give them some kind of protection. So we do need tents. They cost about $30. Good sleeping bags cost about $30. And you can buy them and bring them. You can donate cash to buy them with, however you work it.
What else do you need that we wouldn't have thought of?
Pop-top cans. Another huge thing is women and feminine hygiene products. It's so humiliating to not have that product. And, I mean, I can't totally relate as a man, but I just feel for them. And when I don't have it to give them, I just want to go and buy it for them. Can't ever give them cash, but I definitely just feel that.
Let's circle back to Room at the Inn and caring for women. How are you filling
I just want to say that as I was going out knocking on the church doors, God just blessed me with this one charitable agency that prefers to remain anonymous, but they stepped forward and they gave a whole building to be used all through the cold months. They gave 2 professional staff, and people are staying there tonight. And they've even flexed up so that they were to be the women's overflow shelter, but they have a couple rooms where a man and a woman, that's a very hard group to shelter up, can shelter up and still be together. So, and there's people like that there tonight, I know. So it's a blessing.
It is. You're saying that they want to be remaining anonymous, and yet somehow people who need it know where they are?
Right, because they're connected through the homeless hotline.
Okay.
And through homeless outreach team. So we're connecting up these homeless people to this agency, but it is at 1352 Market Avenue South. So if you know somebody who needs a shelter, that's the place.
Okay.
If worse came to worse, on the weekend homeless hotline is not on, you could drop someone there and they can make a decision by doing a background check whether someone could shelter up till homeless hotline opens up on Monday.
We've talked about the women and the men, and for the myriad of reasons that they've become homeless, many things that happen to them, many things people do to themselves. We do things to ourselves and our actions have consequences. But I'm thinking of the very least of these, and the most innocent of these are the children that are affected by homelessness. Can you talk about that a little bit?
The children just don't know what's going on. They just know that they don't have, and they see so many people that have, they don't understand. And I want to say that I'd love to tell you that those kids don't get teased and that people aren't mean to them, but that very woman that I talked about sheltering up, her daughter had not been able to take a shower for a very long time, and the kids teased her so badly that she cried. She didn't want to go to school. Yet we did work through that and get her help and get her in a different school so that she could start over fresh. But all of that pressure on the children, and what do? It's us. We've got to chip in and make a difference. We've got to help those children to get sheltered and to get the help they need, and to not fall behind because of the adverse economic situation they've, without any fault, found themselves in.
Exactly, without any fault. They did not sign up for this, and they haven't been the ones making the mistakes that have led to homelessness.
Right.
Or not everybody is homeless because of their own doing. There are things like being caught, a fire, and insurance for some reason didn't cover it. For whatever reason, there are people who are only like a couple paychecks away, any of us, from finding ourselves in these shoes.
Well, and even if it's not paychecks, you're only the phone call that you've got cancer away from the end of the world.
A health issue that you just can't afford to cover, and people lose their homes. It's depressing. Between yesterday and today, I'll tell you, our hearts are broken, and so we need to know, what can we do? Because I think with this time of year, we especially start to think, oh my goodness, what would you do if you didn't have a warm home to go inside to? What can we do to help?
Well, the obvious thing is we can send money. I want to tell you about a campaign that we have called Hot for Change. And if you could get us invited to do this piggy bank campaign at your church, we bring the banks, you collect change from your pocket at the end of every day in your piggy bank. Your pastor just shakes the piggy bank up in front of the auditorium once a week. You do that maybe from now to Super Bowl Sunday, maybe from now till Lent, maybe from now till Easter, maybe from now till Pentecost, and you build up that change. And churches that have small attendances raise a lot of funds to help us meet these needs, and suddenly thousands of dollars is going into getting us a building with warmth and heat that these people could stay in. So
it is amazing. I've heard that there are just billions, literally billions of dollars across the United States in change that's fallen between our couch cushions. So this is awesome. How do we get these banks?
You can contact us at the Homeless Outreach Team. The number.
And that number is, I'm going to hand you one of
330
yes.
754 4687. 330 754 4687.
And that is the Homeless Outreach Team. Okay, do you have a website?
We don't have it up, but we could use a web designer.
There you go. Okay.
If anybody's out there listening and could bring that or Facebook right up for us, it would really, really help us. This is a media present culture, and, we're pretty much all volunteer agency. There's no one getting any pay or payroll, period. And we would love to have somebody help in those two ways, too.
Okay. You know who you are. You heard those words, and you're thinking, that's me. I can do that. Be sure to call that number, and we're going to give it to you one more time, 330-754-4687. Steve Robinson, Homeless Outreach Team, thank you so much for what you're doing in our community.
Thank you.